England have had their week away from cricket, away from India. They are back here. All the off field issues have been sorted, and they are ready to commence and get back into battle. They have pushed India like no one has in a long time. Can they continue as they take on India in the third test in Rajkot? Steve Harmison here with us to build up to the English perspective of this all important third test. Thank you, Steve. Good to see you again. The big news in the lead up to the game is that England have made a change. Mark Wood comes in for Shoaib Bashir, meaning England go in with two seamers for the first time in the series, something we thought might not happen all series long. What does this mean for England's bowling combination and their bowling plans?
I think it gives them a little bit more balance to the attack. I think what we've had so far, we've had the three frontline spin bowlers and a bit of Joe Root, and we didn't get Joe in the third innings or fourth innings of the third innings of the match in Visakhapatnam. So I think what Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum's probably realised is if we go with Joe Root as the third spinner, and hopefully his fingers will be fine to bowl, that one extra seamer is very, very important. I think we got glimpses at times during that second test that a second seamer would have been handy for the England captain to utilise, and to bring a bowler in of 145 to 150 kilometres an hour, I just think gives England that little bit more cutting edge. I would have played Mark Wood in Visakhapatnam, but having seen what Jimmy Anderson's done, giving them an extra seamer, I think it gives them a little bit more of a cutting edge, even though I thought Shoaib Bashir did really, really well in that second test match.
Is it also something that will help them amp up the pressure on an Indian batting lineup, which is now even more inexperienced than what we already saw in the second test?
Yeah, I think what it does is it just gives them an element more of pace. And the pace, we've seen Anderson's skill level, seen Bumrah's skill level. It was quite ridiculous during the first two test matches. I think it gives England that little bit more pace. And when you've got pace through the air, you take the pitch out of the equation. Rajkot looks a flat surface. There might be a little bit more reverse swing. So if there's a little bit more reverse swing on offer, I think what that does is it takes gives the element of the inexperience in the Indian batting unit, who have played against reverse swing countless times in domestic cricket. Have they played against pure pace? Have they played against 145, 150 kilometres an hour like Mark Wood and the skill level of Jimmy Anderson? So yes, they're playing their own conditions. Yes, these debutants are playing in a ball which is they're used to reverse swing. Are they used to bowling? Are they used to batting against the skill level of Anderson and the pace of Jimmy Anderson of international cricket? And I think that just gives England that little bit more of an edge.
Yeah, that will be one of the bigger challenges for this young Indian batting lineup. Let's look at the English batting lineup, Steve. There have been runs at the top of the order, but it is numbers 4 and 5. Joe Root and Johnny Bairstow, they've been quiet, really quiet by their standards, 150 runs between them across 8 innings so far. What would you think the conversations would have been, or what they would have been working on in this long gap between the tests?
I think McCullum and Stokes will be saying, right, they're due. That's what they'll be saying. They'll be saying, Joe Root doesn't go to this part of the world and not score runs consistently. So I think from an England captain's point of view, he'll be saying, I've got no worry about Joe Root. He's due. He'll get me a score, at least one, possibly two scores in these next 3 games. I thought Johnny Bairstow throughout this series has looked like a lot of the batters in this series. They've looked in. How many times have we seen 20s and 30s and then a player getting out? So I think the responsibility of that over the course of the 5-6 days they had in Abu Dhabi, realizing, the mistakes that were made when, getting dismissed in a way which is the execution, not the sort of not being put too much under pressure by the opposition. It was more the execution of their shots. I think that's what they've probably been, talking to themselves and realising going into Rajkot, that if they do get into 20, do get into 30, that will make sure that it ends up in a big score. So I've got no worry about Bairstow. I've got even less worry about Joe Root.
Yeah, if you've got those two firing, all of a sudden you almost face the unseen situation of the visiting batting lineup appearing on paper far stronger than the home batting lineup. Let's move one rung lower in the batting order and focus on the number 6, shall we, Steve? Because this is a momentous occasion for Ben Stokes, the English captain. will become the 16th Englishman to play 100 tests. How special an achievement is that, and how do you look back at Stokes's glorious test career?
It is an unbelievable achievement from an unbelievable young man who I first met when he was 15, 16-year-old. He came into Durham's dressing room in a very, very experienced, winning, confident dressing room of Durham in the sort of late 2000s. And he came in, breezed in, and he sat in the corner, as chirpy as what he is now, and he's just gone about his business in a similar fashion, which is to take every single challenge on head on, and not back down, not give an inch, and make sure that every time he goes out there, he gives himself the best chance to survive and succeed. And that's what he's done throughout his career, and that's what he's done as captain. He's took the captaincy to a whole new level, from a test match point of view around the world. And to see him get 100 test matches, is a testament to how hard he's had to work. And I'm so pleased to have been and seen witnessed a lot of the journey. So I presented him his 50th cap in Barbados. To see him go on and make that 100 test match is very, very special. I think from a career point of view, 16 men have 100 test matches for England, and that for me is an achievement in itself.
Of all those highlights, if you had to pick one, the standout Ben Stokes test career moment, I have a feeling I know the answer.
Good luck with picking one. Wow. Where do you start? We talked about Ollie Pope's career-defining moment, getting 196 in Hyderabad in the first test, and you get a lot of that. I think mine was probably 2004, 7 for 12. But you get a lot of career-defining moments. Ben's had about 10. 250 in Cape Town, that great partnership with Johnny Bairstow. Think of Cape Town again when he single-handedly grabbed England by the scruff of the neck, dragged them into a win in 2020. Headingley 2019 with Jack Leach. People forget that he bowled a whole session to get England in a position to go out there and Ben to go and win the game with 140 at the end of that day. But as much as I think Headingley will always be remembered to Ben Stokes, I think what Ben will say is we didn't win that series.
Well, you could say, and I'm sure they're discussing in the English camp, that perhaps that test match highlight could be one to come in the weeks ahead. If he manages to continue his run as captain in India, that would go right up there. Let's see how England fare then in the third test. Steve Harmison will join us at the end of it again to share his thoughts and insights. Thank you, Steve, for your time.